One of the trends that we've witnessed in photography over recent years is a pushback against computational photography. In case you're not keeping up with your technical jargon, computational photography is when a smart device, a smartphone, augments a photograph taken on that device by using things like denoising and sharpening and artificially lighting the subjects. Now, if you're at your nana's 60th wedding anniversary or something like that, and you whip out your smartphone and you take a photograph, then having computational photography on that device is a welcome addition, because you want everyone's faces to be well lit and nice and sharp in the photo. And you're willing to forgive a little bit of that processed look if everything looks okay in the photograph and you get a family keepsake. But if you're taking photographs for artistic or creative purposes, then all that computational photography isn't necessarily desirable at all. And that's why over recent years, we've seen a few apps come out on all platforms, on Apple and Android devices, that try to get away from the computational side and take things back to a more analog look. And one of those apps is called Mood.Camera. It's an iPhone-only app, and I've been putting it through its paces, testing it under all sorts of different circumstances. I wanted to share my results with you. So here's the main interface, and as you can see, it's nice, simple, and uncluttered. We've got the basic tools at the top to enable or disable the flash. There's an aspect ratio option with some pretty unique aspect ratios, actually. If I click on this, you can see we've actually got an expand mode. It's in portrait at the moment, but I can turn that sideways so we get a proper pano landscape mode. So you can select that, put it in regular 3:2 if you want. Got the usual timer, front-facing camera, and settings. Down the bottom of the screen, you've got the film emulation selection option, focal length, so you can switch in and out from the iPhone cameras. You've got a manual exposure setting, so you can over or underexpose your image if you want. You've got the photos you can take preview on the screen there. You can view them in the library. Also, exposure settings or manual if you prefer. And of course, the shutter button when you take your photo. Now, don't even notice that when I took that shot, there was a little bit of a timer that went on the photo. And that was because the app was baking in those film settings into the shot I just took. At the moment, I have got the Xenon film emulation selected, but I can click on that. And if I go back to the start of this list of emulations, you can see we've got custom, we've got random, portrait. So we've got the kind of classic film emulations in here, Calypso, Chrome, based on Fuji's Chrome, kind of Kodak Gold, an analog look, Cine. Actually really liked this one when I was testing it. Arizona for that kind of tan and teal look that is still heavily used everywhere. We've got Metro, we've got Noir, which is a really nice kind of high contrasty mono. Tiger, Apollo, very warm. I use this to take some sunset shots, which I will show you when we run through them in a second. Vista, which is a nice, actually clean, good landscape mode, actually, just for a nice kind of neutral color base. If you don't like the heavily saturated look like I do, then it's a good choice. Xenon, which is, as it says, very good for night photography. We've got Nord there, another black and white mono. X Pro, based on the Fuji X Pro, which is actually really nice as well. And stock iPhone. We've also got some settings underneath each of these films. Let me just scroll back to Kodak Gold. We've got a quality setting so we can reduce the quality of the film. So it's really quite nice and tweakable. We can also tweak the tones, crush the blacks, a nice ultra kind of saturated, high contrast, or you can just go for kind of a neutral profile, or just go the other way and soften it down. We've got 14 emulations in all, and even within those, as you can see, they're highly configurable too, so you can tweak the look of these film emulations according to your taste. Once you've taken your photograph, let's go back to the camera, you can click and you get a preview of the shot, which you can then share. They'll get saved to the standard photo camera roll too. At the very top of the screen there, in a very tiny text, you can see the film emulation that you used and whatever settings you did in terms of quality and profile, and also the date. You can then transfer that over to your Mac or share it to social media as the mood takes you. I prefer the way that this has been laid out more than I do the stock camera. I have to say, I really like it. I love the exposure here, so I can overexpose the shot just by cranking it. And it's got nice haptic feedback on that too. As I scroll up and down, it works great that way too. And you can, of course, I'm using the iPhone 16 Pro Max here. You can, of course, use the shutter button, the special action buttons and what have you on the phone if you wish. So I'll quickly whiz through these photos and then I'll come back to a couple of them and point out a couple of the particular features that have been baked into these photos by the app. So that's Chrome, got Metro, Noir, Nord, Mono. This one is Calypso, Noir again, Cine, Gold, kind of Kodak Gold, I guess. Here's one of the aspect ratio changes, one of the expand mode. This is Apollo. And finally, we have Xenon. Here's what I like with this one, Metro. Just love the desaturated colors in this. Let's have a look at this mono shot here. Check out the film grain. Notice that it's not a kind of computational ordered grain. It looks filmic. If you've ever scanned a negative, I think Alex has done a really good job of kind of bringing it out and giving it a photographic feel. I think of all the shots I took, this was kind of gave me a real film feel. This was taken with the Calypso emulation, which in the user guide, Alex says is just perfect for bright, summery scenes when you want really vibrant colors. You've got nice blue skies. And all those conditions were met when I took this photo. Just came out really nice. Let's have a look at the Pelican here. This is the Cine profile. Again, really nice emulation. Let's zoom in on him so we can see the grain. It just looks filmic. I really love the way it's done this. He's kind of fought against the computational photography engine in the iPhone, which sharpens things to within an inch of their life. There's no over sharpening in these images. They look beautifully analog. We've got the old aspect ratio change here, the expand. Now, this is obviously, they just chopped off the top and the bottom of the image. It's not a real pano in that sense, but that's all the fun of it, you know, quite a low resolution photo here. It's 4,000 pixels by 1468. So it's, you know, it's a much reduced file size, but it doesn't matter because it's JPEG and it's all baked in. And then we've got the Apollo emulation here again, which I really love. And this one is ideal for sunrise and sunset, those heavily kind of colorful scenes that you get. And I just love the vibe of these photos. Thumbs up. He's done a really nice job on making these photos look less like they were taken on an iPhone and more like they were shot on an actual camera, which is no mean feat. So that, my friends, is Mood.Camera, a neat little app, I'm sure you'll agree. It is in many ways the antidote to computational photography. The design of the app forces you to just slow down a bit and think about your compositions. And also, in the case of this app, think about what film simulation you might work best in the circumstances you're currently in and what you're photographing. The grain effect in those shots is nicely done. They don't look like the sort of computational grain, if you like, something that's very ordered. He's done a nice job on that in the app. And those film simulations are really nicely emulated. Significant difference between all of them. I love the flexibility of being able to tweak those simulations as well. The interface is beautiful, really simple to use. I love having that exposure compensation dial right next to the shutter button, so very simple to over or underexpose a shot as required. And even better, it's very reasonably priced at $23 for a lifetime access. There's also a subscription option if you prefer, but you can buy it outright as well. So that's Mood.Camera, my friends. Great little app that puts the fun back into photography. Really interesting to see the approach that the developer took with this, as opposed to something like Halide, which is more expensive and less flexible. Hope you enjoyed this little review. If you did, please give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel if you like this content for more photo, video, and drone-related content from me. Till the next time, guys. Ta-ta.